9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
What it do? What it do? I know 2 days in a row, back to back. I'm even doing stuff different this week. Welcome to WWT Live, the Monday edition. My name is TKTrinidad, and I am not alone. We're gonna go with the man who's supposedly had a basketball injury, but you know he's been in the streets a little too hard. Mayor of Vice City, Ceddy said, "What's good?"
So you do that, and you don't even. I don't even get the bird lady intro today, and you gonna disrespect me like that?
How am I disrespecting? I'm just going off what you told me like literally 5 minutes ago. You were going hard in the streets and your knees bummed.
All right, I'll be that. I'm good though. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. And y'all, if you guys are watching this show, you know, I am giving you an exclusive before it even happens. Heel Bonner is with us today.
No, don't even do that. Welcome, guys. Good to see you guys. It's been a minute.
I smell story time.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't. No.
I'm just saying, and to the surprise of so many, shout out to Eric in the chat, shout out to Pachu in the chat, shout out to Special Little Nobodies. What's up? This gentleman, I am so elated and excited that he has decided to grace us with his presence on a fine Wednesday rainy afternoon. Jacob DeLawrence, how are you doing, young sir?
I mean, I'm good. You ain't have to lie like that on the intro, but you know, I'm good. Nice to see y'all.
How am I lying?
Who, real quick, Professor said, either one of y'all believe that intro?
Which part?
Which part of it?
Like the delighted?
All that.
You think she embellished?
I think she's
a little forced.
Okay.
A little forced. Anywho,
Speaking of embellished, real quick, can we get this knee injury story? Is it the same bum knee?
No, it's not the same knee. And no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Do we know how it happened? Like,
Ced's about to pound the streets.
already pounded the streets. That's probably what happened.
Oh boy! Wow.
It's gonna be a good day.
I'm sorry for the people that have to hear this on audio. And in the chat. Matter of fact, I was supposed to address you a couple of days ago, Sindel. You know your girl losing the belt at Roadblock, right?
Yeah, she just like I got the Brock Lesnar contract.
Like Lord giveth with EO Sky, Lord taketh away. I just want you to know that.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, let's go. I mean, feel like this is going to be a thing going into WrestleMania and also for the full year. The Guinness World Records acknowledges John Cena's record-breaking WWE heel turn that happened. So we'll start off with Professor because, Stead's request was he wanted to hear heel Professor his opinion first. So given his injury, we'll go with that. So heel Professor, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, this is heel Cena, not heel Professor, but I will say.
Oh, it's coming, y'all. Remember when he turns heel. Remember this episode. Go on.
The Guinness Book of World Records actually acknowledged, if you can imagine this, that John Cena spent the longest time consecutively as a babyface in WWE at 20 years. So that's actually kind of remarkable that it has made it to the Guinness Book of World Records. This heel turn, as they write the story in pro wrestling about heel turns, there is Hollywood Hogan joining the NWO. And then honestly, there's this John Cena heel turn. It was masterfully done. Nobody saw it coming. and nobody would have imagined that on his final year in the business, he would take now to do this. It makes sense if he's, trying to win the world championship at his last WrestleMania, given all of the matches he's lost. But it adds a whole new wrinkle to this John Cena situation. And, seeing the darkness of The Rock in all this, like, to me, the genius of all of this is somehow we have managed to get people interested in a WrestleMania main event that has absolutely nothing to do with the bloodline at all. First time this entire decade that's happened. That's a wild thought when you consider that. I mean, there's point. It's wild. So it says a lot about where just the business is going and the ability to kind of pivot from that. So it's a real amazing situation for Cena. It's got people talking. Again, didn't know how they were going to do this, but they pulled it off. And now we get Cena and the mentions of Hogan. In that moment, it made Cody Rhodes the Hulk Hogan of the 80s at this point. Cody Rhodes became the ultimate good guy in all of this. And that's remarkable. In that moment, not only did we get a Cena heel turn, we got an F-bomb that was not bleeped out. We got Michael Cole cussing on commentary.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah.
Everybody who said they loved the Attitude Era, they love this. So this was just great. It was masterfully done, and it's made for must-see TV. Suddenly, SmackDown is absolutely must-see TV.
So I have this follow-up question for you, Hollywood G, and also said because he might have a bundle of joy on the way, given the fact that there is like swearing and stuff.
The way she slipped, wow. Okay,
that's so cynical. What are we doing?
The fact that there's swearing that is happening now on WWE, as a parent or parents, when you bring your child and you expected one thing, but you get swerved with the F-bomb, how, like, do you just kind of know, like, this is wrestling and that's a possibility? Or, like, are we now, changing, when kids can watch a product like WWE?
That's interesting. I think this is where I'm realizing not everyone raises their children the same way. I'm reminded of one of the promotions I work at. I won't necessarily name them for this particular reason. They label themselves as family friendly, but the owner has been in the ring on the mic cussing like a sailor. And, I sit back and I'm just like, okay, well, I guess we're not family friendly, or family friendly means something different to everyone. And so I think, again, like any form of entertainment, parents have to ultimately police that and determine what their children will watch. Now, here's the thing. The F-bomb that's the first time there's been a blatant F-bomb in the middle of the ring on a microphone in WWE. Will they continue to do that kind of activity? I don't know. But I'm sure that parents will have to kind of police just what their children are watching.
And your thoughts?
First things first, I don't raise children. Let's get that qualifier out of there. I don't have children, so I don't know what type of parenting tool should be used. But I will say that I feel like I wasn't heavily policed as a child. And I grew up in a generation of wrestling where you saw a lot of stuff that's not here anymore. So I understand how the more edgier product of WWE now can kind of, I guess, you want to kind of allude it a little bit, but it's way different than the stuff I saw growing up. Clearly, sure. Even we talk about like women's wrestling and stuff from then and now. But I like what Professor said about the layers of this character arc with John. I think it really adds a layer of unpredictability. I legit thought John was going to take like the Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade farewell tour and still win the title eventually, but just relinquish. But now it just adds a better storyline. And dare I say, we might have a main event at WrestleMania that does not include Roman Reigns for like the first 5 or more years. I think that's the more huge part.
Yeah.
And so going to Jacob, I think everybody was surprised at what happened. And I think it's more exciting this way. You know, I'll speak for myself. I did want John to win, but it was just like, okay, well, it's just going to be boring. It's his last year. Also, now we have a whole exciting thing. He did say this is his last year. WrestleMania is in April. So what do you think is in store for John Cena, you know, from WrestleMania, from now through WrestleMania and beyond for the rest of the year?
You know, it's a good question, because you got to think, what does Cena have to shoot movie-wise? Like, we know Peacemaker Season 2 is done. I think he's currently in the Sahara shooting Matchbox. So it's like, what does his schedule movie-wise look like? Because he could win at Mania, and then that belt goes the way of Brock Lesnar, where you might see it once a month, maybe.
No. He said he's giving a year. I think he's gonna give a year. I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, we're gonna see him and then he's gonna be gone for 3 months. I think he's legitimately gonna give a year.
I mean, he could give a year and still
clock strike midnight
here.
on December 31st. I think is done.
Yeah.
Look, what I'm saying is, look at this though. We've seen him 3 times this year.
Oh, you're referring to him not really being here at the beginning. I think it's confirmed that after
It's supposed to be like 30
March
days,
20 something, like he's gonna be the rest, like the rest of this year, like he's gonna be appearing.
I mean, yeah, he's got to be here for the Build Mania. But if he's free and clear, then we're going to see something unique and special, because I feel like Cena wouldn't turn heel if he didn't have a plan. Like, if this wasn't road mapped out from now until either he turns babyface again or until we wrap this up come December 31st or whatever the last live event is. So it's going to be a plan. It's going to be something special. You got to think you're going to get Rock, Roman, probably Punk. You're going to get all the greatest hits. I just hope it sticks and they don't overdo it. I don't need this to go fitting comparison. I don't need this to go NWO with a bunch of people joining Cena and Rock. Like, if it's just Cena and Rock in this like whole movie star Hollywood, we're here to take over, you wouldn't be here without us. Let's run it. Let's print money. Let's have fun. But if you add a bunch of unnecessary pieces and people, I think it's kind of going to dilute it and just ruin a great moment. Like, take this from a moment and make it into something more than just a moment.
So you're not here for Bloodline East versus Bloodline West?
And also, this is Bloodline adjacent still. So, like, we're still 5+ years of Bloodline.
The fact that there's probably like 10-year-olds who have no idea what you're referencing is just a terrible and scary thought in itself. But one question for everybody before we move on to the next story. And you kind of said something really interesting, Jacob. Do we think that Cena is going to finish his reign as heel or babyface?
Oh no,
not his reign, but his.
I think
this year.
I think the year ends with a turn back to the good side, and people love him because he's leaving. And I mean, it literally could happen at the end of the last match. You know, I think it benefits him to walk this all the way out. And then because it has to stick for a while for people to actually believe it. So I think, you know, he walks this out, and it is at the very end where he makes his goodbye, where it's kind of tearful, and, you know, he does that. But no, I think he's going to carry it all the way through. And I think to the one point Jacob made, no, I don't think there should be a ton of people added, but there still needs to be explanation in terms of what this is, right? I don't know that it's necessarily a Hollywood, as someone said, 2-man power trip. I want to see what Rock is looking to do, if he's looking to take people, you know, and give them these great opportunities, and who those people would be, you know, because that's where I think things could get interesting. I agree that it doesn't need to be, you know, 60 people. I think 3, maybe 4. Obviously, we don't need Dennis Rodman, aka Travis Scott, picture. I think you just simply bring along some other people who fit that narrative. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure who they are just yet, but people who feel like, okay, we actually want to be in this space, and you get it popping.
Man, and we'll talk a little bit about this as far as
Sami
Rock.
Zayn.
Ooh. Oh, but ooh, that's
think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Because of all he had to deal with Kevin Owens and all the ways he's been robbed out of things. You put Sami Zayn in there and let The Rock get a hold of him.
So I'm glad you said Sammy. I saw this photo from Mania Night 2 of Cody celebrating, and somebody like put a check mark through KO, put a check mark through Cena. It's like, are we foreshadowing of who can turn? And it's like, could be. Sammy makes sense, but doesn't make sense. Because I think Sammy's beef is more so Kevin, like they're brothers. They're always going to fight. I don't think the beef is necessarily because of you, Cody. I've had to fight my brothers. I'm just going to go fight my brother again.
No, well,
yeah, but the thing is, it's about winning. Like Sammy's been taking so many L's, and Rock, Cena goes in and he's like, "I'm gonna win Elimination Chamber." Cena now wins Elimination Chamber, and that's within the ring. We also seen Cena in major movies and doing all the things. Essentially, Rock is telling Cody, "I can give you everything that you want, whatever your mind imagines, and whatever Cena has, he's got." You can even argue that, and this is definitely far like fetching, but like. He wanted to marry Brie. He wanted to marry Nikki. It didn't happen. He done found a girl that looks like Nikki, and he got married. We could say that The Rock orchestrated that. Like, I'm just saying. I'm just like putting it all out there. So so now Sammy's like,
Nikki was trying to destroy that man's house.
I mean,
I
sorry,
can't get you, so I'm gonna go get the lookalike.
I was just reaching.
Wow.
I was just reaching. Anyways,
I do like that theory though, because I mean, Sammy has taken a lot of L's, some just, some unjust. He can't beat Drew McIntyre, but if they pull that trigger, because I don't think Sammy got to come back for a while. If they pull that trigger, you got to take it from Jay.
But there's no motivation for Sammy.
Oh, sure there is. Sammy's never been a world champion. That's all the motivation.
He's a world champion NXT. And
there's no motivation in the sense that Cena has motivation of a goal. Sammy has been like, yeah, I would love to be world champ, but I'm the people's person. I'm the greatest underdog. I hate to say this. Where's Councilman? Make sure he doesn't hear this. He has the Mick Foley approach, where if I get the world title, great, but I don't think it's a need. Cena has been clear. I need to win. I need to remind you that I'm the GOAT. I need number 17.
But who's to say Sammy can't just flip that and say, like, I want more for my career?
Right. It doesn't have to be the title. It could be whatever. Yeah. Like Rock is saying whatever you desire, which is now I feel like, isn't that the reference to the devil when Jesus, like on the you know what I'm talking about, Professor? You know what I'm talking about, the devil, and he's like, hey,
I know what you're trying to say.
That's insane. You want to clear it for the people, because people are like, what is she talking about?
No, this whole idea that, hey, if you bow to me, I'll give you the entire world. I'll give you whatever it is that you want. So yeah.
So before Jesus was crucified, that's what the devil said to him, and this is what essentially it feels. Now I'm kind of like playing it in my head. This is what Rock is telling Cody, and Cody's like,
because it was rather dark. It was much darker than I anticipated. And here was the other thing that was interesting. There was a lot of symbolism in terms of what people were wearing, from Bianca and Naomi wearing white to Jade wearing black. I have a theory on that, which we'll get to maybe at some other point. But The Rock coming out in all black, there was just a lot of very telling symbolism with all of that. So yeah, it was pretty dark. It was pretty dark. Yeah, and the Dusty Rhodes date of death, like it was wild.
Yeah, that was out of pocket.
It was wild.
The dream gonna die again.
It was wild.
It'll be even more out of pocket if something happens on that date this year with Cody.
What day is it?
June 7th.
June 11th.
11th.
June 11th.
Let's look at the calendar.
Well, while we're doing that and while my dog is barking at other dogs outside, somebody who's doing a lot of things right now, Mayor says his favorite person, Natalia, she's going to be competing in the NWA at the Crockett Cup, and also she's going to be at Bloodsport debuting April 17th. You know, WWE was notorious up until maybe a few years ago, maybe even a year ago, that they didn't really, you didn't see their superstars anywhere. And now you're kind of seeing them sprinkled throughout different, places. We saw Shayna Baszler, I believe, at Bloodsport 2 last year. So what do you think? What do you think the reasoning for this is, and what do you think the outcome will be? So we'll start with Professor.
Firstly, I want to make sure we don't understate the wild significance of this. We have seen in this Triple H era, WWE working with companies we never thought possible, from, sending Shinsuke Nakamura over to Pro Wrestling Noah, to them sending 2 or 3 NXT stars over to Pro Wrestling Noah, and then having, one of them come over here. It's been amazing. The collaborations with GCW and Bloodsport, and, now we're saying, of course, the TNA partnership, this NWA partnership. I'm not sure people understand how significant this is. Your current wrestling fans really don't view the NWA as a major player. But historically, the NWA at one point was the largest pro wrestling organization in the world. And, they were the foundation from which WCW was birthed. And there was a massive competition between WWE and the NWA. It's what ultimately birthed the Monday Night Wars. I mean, the WWE tried to put the NWA out of business, took that TBS spot away from them with Georgia Championship Wrestling, and ultimately Crockett ended up paying $1 million to get that back, funding what's believed to be WrestleMania. So there's a lot of history to that. The fact that a contracted WWE star is not just working in an NWA show, but the Crockett Cup, one of the most significant tournaments and events in NWA history, is, you cannot overstate how significant of a moment this is for the NWA to have a contracted WWE star. And then on the women's side of it, and we've talked on this show about the NWA's commitment, or what seemed to be lack thereof, to women's wrestling after, Empower and things like that. So this is a major moment. And I think for Natalia, who obviously is kind of in that unique space of training stars right now, to see her at Bloodsport is incredible. Like, I'm actually very intrigued because I want to see just how she can get down in those spaces. It says to me, Natalia's at the point where she can do what she wants to do in her career. And now she's getting a chance to do that. And I think that's amazing. Amazing.
Jacob, what do you, so just for you guys to know, the Crockett Cup, it's going to happen May 17th in Philly. And then we also have Bloodsport. Is there one between the two? Which one are you more excited to see, if any of them at all?
It's going to be Crockett Cup because we know what Bloodsport is. We know the impact and the place that Bloodsport holds to wrestling fans. You either love it, you're like, all right, I get it, or you just don't enjoy it. Like, it's very unique, very niche. But like Professor said, NWA is arguably the most important wrestling organization, top down. Like, there's no WWE without NWA. Like you said, WrestleMania was funded in a roundabout way because of the NWA and companies. So it makes sense. But more importantly, it's NWA, if I'm not mistaken, is at the 2300 Arena. So you get the ECW tie-in. And what is she going to do? And here's the other tidbit. NWA was set to go to CW before you did the cocaine spot, and then you slide WWE in. So clearly Billy Corgan has gotten over any way he may feel about that. So we're opening up more. It looks like we're getting something here, and you're sending Natty.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, Brett nor Jim, and I think even Owen never wrestled for the NWA in any capacity. So you're sending one of the most well-known, well-respected names in wrestling. You're sending a heart to a brand that is historical, is a legacy brand. Let's see what you got. NWA has a lot of stars past WWE, and usually that's kind of where a lot of the key pieces of WWE have come from recently, especially in NXT. Ricky Starks, NWA. Thunder Rosa, even though she's in AEW. LA Knight, Eli Drake, all this. There's a bunch of tie-in in history. So if I'm only going to catch one natty outside of WWE, I want to see what's going to happen at Crockett Cup. Are we going to set off an angle? Are we going to do something that pays off? Let's see what we got going.
So I want to go to Bosa's comment. So people are theorizing online that Natalya may be done with WWE because she is working Bloodsport under her indie name, but NWA is under Natalya.
I think that was the opposite. I was going to mention that. I thought I saw Natty Neidhart on the NWA graphic.
Well, I'm looking at the graphic now. It says Natalya.
On which
or
one?
NWA.
Okay.
They announced her as Natalya on Busted Open.
Mm-hmm.
Because I noticed the Natty Neidhart thing too, and I thought that was pretty interesting. But
Natty Neidhart's on Bloodsport.
Okay.
So yeah. Don't be questioning Bosa. He knows everything.
Hey.
I'm just joking. So what do you think about that? What do you think? Because I feel like Natalya's spot in WWE is secure. She, like Professor was saying, she has the ability to, she's put in the work. She's dealt with the ups and downs, and she pretty much has the ability to call her shots and also have these opportunities. So what do you think is the case for her?
Well, my counterparts have said many nice things about the boat, so I don't have to pretend.
Okay.
So good for her. I mean, I think she can probably develop a lot more talent in other promotions. I think we see her doing that right now. I think you see a lot of people in clips and social media of her training people in the dungeon. I think one of her success stories is B-Fab, who you see getting a lot of work right now on the main roster. I don't know how her style fits with Bloodsport. We know that she's winless in the underground, but it's another way for her to showcase her. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it, Jacob.
No, she fits
winless.
Perfectly.
She's winless in the underground, but I mean,
she fits perfectly.
She has one submission, one, but
that nobody else can do right.
If you say
girl
so.
has a one trick, but continue.
It's fine. Either way,
I wish I had that power, Sindel, but no.
I think for Natalya at this part of her career, she was a gatekeeper, I felt, for a while. And I think now she's kind of a litmus test, and not a litmus test in regards to like next level in the promotion, but like, can you really wrestle? I'm going to show you what the foundation of wrestling is, and then you can take it from here. So I think going to these other promotions, in a sense, I think she's probably scouting other women's divisions as well, because she has had so much stake in the game with WWE. Her recommendation probably means a lot. So while she'll be able to elevate from a performance standpoint by training and working with these ladies, I think there's a scouting element as well, where it's like, hey, like I trained with this young lady over here, or I had a match with this young lady. She's really good. Bring her to the performance center and let her get some of our tutelage here. I think that's probably what we're seeing unfold.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to see it. Because
Natalya... Buy boat. Sail away.
Speaking of buys, Michelle McCool replaces Mickie James as coach for season 2 of WWE LFG. First off, because I'm going to actually be binging it in the next couple of days. So we'll start with Jacob. Have you seen it? And then why do you think this replacement happened?
Yeah, I've seen about half an episode, and I've seen all the random clips. It comes on at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock on a Sunday on A&E, and I forget A&E exists nowadays outside of like WWE TV and First 48. So it's on my list of things to get to, but it's interesting because with all due respect to The Undertaker's wife, really? You gonna replace Mickey? Really? Come on. Come on. Really? It feels a little politicking, but I mean, it's a different perspective. Michelle McCool has earned her stripes. It's just, I feel there's other women that you could have went to that had more cachet and weight if you're going to replace Mickey. I don't know if it's a scheduling conflict, if Mickey's coming back properly to the WWE fold and doing something at the PC full time, but we'll see.
So just FYI for, not much of a spoiler, but so it's currently, LFG is currently in the middle of season 1. Mickey's team is doing well and has scored her 2 points, making her tied with Booker T. So yeah, maybe it might be a scheduling thing. Professor said, have you guys seen the show at all?
I have watched. Go ahead, Sid.
I was going to say I have not, so I can't speak to it. But what you're reading, does it still refer to it as Mickey's team, or has it been referred to as Michelle's team?
Yeah, because they're currently in season 1, so it's still Mickey's team. And season 2 when Michelle's gonna be taking over, and that hasn't aired yet. And I don't know if it's been filmed.
Oh, I thought it was like in season that they did this. I mean, somebody said it was kind of like The Voice, and they rotate people all the time, so that's not. It's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? Go on, Professor.
Good. No, go ahead.
No, you can answer the question. I have a follow-up question.
Oh no, I've seen some of the show. I like the show. It is very much somewhat Tough Enough meets The Voice, and I like the feel of that. I like obviously having those 4 coaches, but to that point, I think there are really 2 news items here. The first news item is that they got picked up for a second season, which is a great moment, because new shows, as we know, don't always get picked up. So there's that. And in the press release for that is where we found out about Michelle McCool. I'll be interested to see what she's like as a coach, because what I think we're discovering is just as we've seen in other sports, just because you are a great player doesn't make you a great coach. And and that's the real challenge here is, do you have the ability to teach and convey what it is that you've learned to these people who are either new or who have never done it or who need some polishing? So I think that's going to be the really interesting thing relative to Michelle McCool. I've got no idea what her teaching style is like and how she can connect with folks. I don't know if she'll be looked at in the same way as Mickie James is, because Mickie James is certainly, and I think there's comment about Booker T. The thing about Booker T that people have to remember is he has a whole training school. So when you've got a whole training school and you run a promotion and you're doing commentary inside the PC, you have a different perspective than all of the others, because I know at one point Bubba
still has his school.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still working at that school. But his style is different, obviously. And then you take a Mickey and a Taker, who are great names, but they don't necessarily work regularly in a training capacity. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how Michelle fits into that, because I think Booker is crushing, and rightfully so, because this is what he does.
So my question before we move on, yes, and Bubba is also a radio personality as well. Before we move on, aside from everybody who's currently in season 1 and adding Michelle McCool in season 2, is there anybody else that you'd like to see as a coach for LFG? Not replacing anybody, but anybody else. Oh, Mark would be good.
Yeah, he would be good. I think AJ Styles would be really good. I think he'd be good.
Does it have to be under the WWE umbrella, or can we?
Somebody that WWE doesn't hate, otherwise, or let me phrase it, or that they can get, because otherwise I would have said Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, Dustin would be a good one. I was thinking more New Japan, and if we had a partnership over there, Tanahashi.
Oh yeah, it'd be fun. I like that Regal comment. That'd be
Regal's a great choice.
Mm-hmm.
Although Regal might slap the shit out of somebody one day.
So I was gonna say this transition, but I'm not. So Carmilla, so
she's gonna do. I already know. He's gonna,
I was gonna say something about
so out of pocket.
I didn't say it, though. I didn't say it. So Carmilla, she felt like she was being ghosted by, or she felt like she got ghosted by WWE. She's no longer with the company. She is alleging that it's because of her pregnancy and having a baby. And I've been seeing the comments. There's, people for her comments. There are people who are like saying, no, that's not the case. Professor, I want to get your take on this, since I guess you're the only one with child on this panel. How did you how do you feel about this story?
Wow. Here's I think one of the challenges. I think everybody
Jazz would be a good coach. Sorry.
Yeah, she would. I think everyone deserves the opportunity to tell their story, whatever their story is. I think it can often be, I get a little nervous sometimes with the tell-alls that can happen after someone's been with the company. And that's just because it's hard to make certain arguments if there are other people with similar situations that didn't meet the same result. So we have seen that the WWE gives you space to have a child. Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch. I mean, we have a number of people where that's an opportunity. So I don't know what the full story is. And sometimes what can be challenging is, when people look to go on a podcast and just kind of tell the world like, hey, here's all the bad stuff that happened to me, right? I'm going to say this really carefully because I don't really, let's just remember that it wasn't all that long ago that there was a certain commentator that was disgruntled and had promised to go on live television and have a lot to say. They were silenced for 2 weeks, came back a whole new person. And they know Carmella really well. So to that end, I just say, I'm just nervous about the need to tell all, could you be disgruntled and disappointed that you didn't get your contract renewed? For sure. That's very understandable.
Because it's a job. Like
it's
nobody wants to get let go from their job, period.
Right.
No matter who you are.
But with that said, does that make your entire experience there bad because you got let go? Not necessarily. Now, in fairness to her, only she knows what her experience is. I mean, if you look at her career, it's safe to say she got some great opportunities throughout her career. I mean, Money in the Bank. Yeah, 2 times. The first Money in the Bank winner, got to cash in on Charlotte Flair, won the first season of the Mixed Match Challenge, or maybe it was the second season. But she's had some really good opportunities in her career. Again, I don't know what her specific experience is, but I do know that I do get a little nervous about the tell-alls. So I'll leave that there.
Said, because she was saying that she was notified 10 days prior to her contract expiring. No one, no help with a new one. So she felt ghosted by it. Let's say, and WWE has brought people back. But let's say this is the last time we do see Carmella with WWE. What do you think her legacy is? I mean, Professor did name a couple of moments that she had. But given the landscape of where the women are right now, actually, let me flip that question. Given the landscape of where the women are right now, do you think there is a place for Carmella in WWE?
Absolutely. And I think we're seeing it with people like Chelsea Green, like with Ariana Grace in NXT. Like that type of character always has a place. And Carmella being the first inaugural Money in the Bank winner is huge. That'll always be connected to her. So I guess this is like one of those like what could have been. And similar to Professor, I want to be very careful because it's a slippery slope topic. I listened to some of the clips from the podcast, not the entire podcast. I feel like you never want to tell people how they should feel when they feel like they were discriminated against. Because there have been other people who have had children, but like I can't bear a child, so I don't know what that feels like. And she also said that she had complications as a result of giving birth that hindered her from fulfilling her obligations. Just like a lot of people don't know that Black women have a higher mortality rate when giving birth. These are things happen. And a lot of men that are commenting will never know what that feels like. So it is her experience. And emotions are probably very high right now. You got let go from your job. Maybe you had big plans to come back, or maybe they talked to you about stuff. And you want to be fair because we've seen other people come back, but we don't know what her health condition was. That's something she has not revealed. And it reminds me of times where WWE kind of has, in past regimes, not this regime, but past regimes kind of like kicked people on their way out. Reminds me of Mickie James when she got let go and the trash bag thing that we had to deal with. So like there have been times where they haven't always got it right. And I know we don't know both sides of the story. I don't expect a rep from WWE to comment on it. Nope. But as we get more details on her health, I hope that there is, just for fans who are jumping quick to comment, I hope there's some type of like ease on like, hey, like you don't know this person's life. This is what they dealt with. Maybe wish them to continue their career elsewhere. And I hope the door is always still open because Carmella's character work has always been great. So I do think there will be a place for her today. There's people that saying that the WWE has passed her by. Absolutely not.
So it's kind of piggybacking off of that, Jacob. If you were to fantasy book Carmella, say they re-sign her after Mania, because I think storylines are full right now. They re-sign her after Mania. Who would you like to see her in a storyline with?
Ooh. So if you bring her back, well, what's Bischoff's favorite saying? Controversy creates cash. The best work is real life. Have her pull up to NXT, hijack the show one day, give Corey a live mic with her, and just let them air some stuff off their chest, and let's run with those two as a disgruntled duo taking over from the inside, just causing chaos. And then we'll get Carmella back up speed. We can get her in a North American or NXT title program. Do that. Allegedly, Graves is cleared. You could put them as a power couple running NXT for a bit and then go from there. But if you're going to bring her back, you got something. You might as well use it and find a way to make money out of it.
All right. Shout out to Willie Will, who is on the friendly seas doing the Lord's work and such, pulling up in Puerto Rico and Bahamas, etc., etc. So shout out to him for that. Fernando saying Carmella,
she says.
Carmella deserves better booking. And a special notice, Chelsea would eat Carmella's breakfast, lunch, and we'll see.
In what capacity? In ring?
Yes. Sir.
The gap's not that high. It's not that big of a gap. Let's not do that.
Have you seen what Laura Van Ness can do?
Yes, I'm aware, but don't act like it's such a big gap. Let's not do that.
I mean, it ain't like a natty size.
Don't Maxine Carmella. Don't do that.
I'm just saying. That's offensive to one of them. I don't know who.
Shout out to, I think this happened. I believe this happened. Shout out to Mayor who did the Monday Nightmare show on Monday. Some big things happened. One of them, I really did like CM Punk's promo. That was, hilarious. Speaking of bald spots and etc., that was referenced earlier on in the show. But Io Sky, she wins the women's world title in the Raw Mania event. We'll go with Mayor said, how do you think this is going to play out for Mania in regards to Bianca, in regards to Rhea? Because, if you guys did watch Raw, Rhea was about to finish Io, and then she kind of turned back, said something to Bianca, see you at Mania, and then, Io flipped the script on her, and Io is now the champion. So how do you think this is all going to play out with Io, Bianca, and Rhea, because I definitely don't think it's gonna be over.
I was genuinely shocked, and I think this is perfect for like Netflix when we're like a couple months into this partnership. They need to have more moments like this that are just genuine that you didn't expect. And I think you told multiple stories here, like Io winning. I think the bigger story there is that Rhea can't climb the mountain that's Io Sky. Never beaten Io Sky. Bianca Belair, she said some things in the aftermath of this that she feels like she's always in some ish. She said that on Twitter when she was just trying to cheer both of them on because her spot with Mania was already stamped. Even Rio's promo afterwards saying that she feels like she's isolated and she feels like she has no one since leaving the Judgment Day, finishing things with Liv. She feels like with Priest gone that she's isolated. I think we're getting a slow burn heel turn. But what I love the most is our social media detectives, if you will, that have pointed out that when Io Sky lost her opportunity for the Chamber, all Rhea and Liv had to do was touch and Io got DQ'd. Bianca pushes Rhea and Jessica Carr is like, hey, just separate. We're not doing this here tonight. So Rhea will have her claim to getting into that match at Mania. And I feel like that's going to happen either that way or she can complain to Pierce and say, I need to be in the match. Or I think she'll defeat Bianca Belair in a one-on-one match to enter her way into the WrestleMania triple threat.
Professor, do you think this is going to be a triple threat thing, or do you think Rhea and Bianca is something that's going to be saved for after Mania?
I think we could see a couple of things. Triple threat is where a lot of people's minds are. But man, that Io Bianca, that rivalry is incredible. It's incredible. It deserves to be on a WrestleMania stage. And I think the winner takes on Rhea the next night. So I think we get the potential for two. So because I think people keep forgetting we got 2 nights of WrestleMania. We could easily get this thing going over 2 nights, which I would want to see. I think a triple threat actually kind of dilutes what we could have. We deserve to see this scenario, and I'll just throw my own spoiler, Fernando. My spoiler looks like this. I think if it ends up Io versus Bianca, I think Io Sky retains the world championship. And here's why: because of a certain Jade Cargill who will interfere and stop Bianca from winning the world title, ending Bianca's WrestleMania streak and getting us on the road, which could be a slow burn, could be a fast burn, to Jade versus Bianca.
What would that put her at? What, 3, 4?
Who, Bianca?
Yeah.
This would be 5-0. This would be 5-0. 37, 38, 39, 40.
Ooh.
So
I like it. That would be such a disservice to not at least get her to double digits.
Sure. So,
Well, she doesn't push it that much, but like we know.
I mean, we didn't push the streak till we got to like 11.
Yeah,
we didn't
when we got to
Edge.
10 is when that's when we got.
We didn't push Edge being undefeated at Mania either. So,
I guess that's that. Speaking of that, so Jacob, how do you think Jade? What's the play for Jade? I guess as far as WrestleMania, where Bianca and Naomi and I guess inherently Io and Rhea are concerned.
Naomi gonna catch another beat down. I feel like that's gonna be the play. You get Jade, Naomi. If you were smart, you make it a parking lot match. You get parking lot rules. You get a throwback to Piper and Goldust and all that. Perfect way to tie it together. I think as we get closer to Mania, we'll realize that Bianca had a hand in it, and then Jade finds that out on night 1 of Mania. Night 2, Jade gets part of a lake back and costs Bianca, and then we're off to SummerSlam, like Professor said.
I like it. Before we get out of here, I want to talk about AEW. We are going to have our AEW watch along and post show coming up after this. We also have AEW Revolution, which is coming up in Los Angeles. Myself and Mayor will be there, so definitely look out for us. What?
Apparently, that's news to him.
I told you this like less than 3 hours ago. Sad.
Did you? I must have missed that. I must have Totally didn't hear that.
This is what I'm telling you, Professor. I'm just out here giving opportunities, and people just. Anywho, the match card for tonight: Swerve Strickland and Ricochet. They signed their contract for the #1 contender match of AEW Revolution. Cope and Wheeler Yuler, Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander, Megan, and Penelope Ford going on for tonight for AEW. Are there any one of these matches that you guys are looking forward to see?
I guess I think I read a couple quotes from Daniel Garcia talking about the rivalry with Wheeler Yuta. I would say that would be a good wrestling exhibition to look forward to tonight as the go home show for Revolution.
I guess I'll go Bane interacting with Statlander some more, just so we can get a little bit closer to that true one-on-one singles match between them.
I'm Professor.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I have two specific highlights on any moment of AEW television these days. It's Harley Cameron and Ricochet. It's amazing to think of the massive turnaround that Ricochet has made in AEW. He has found his lane. He is we didn't think he could have great mic work, and somehow he's found that, and he has become entertaining and fun to watch. And so seeing that somehow now he's in the #1 contender space is pretty remarkable. So I'm sure there will be some fireworks in this contract signing, as most contract signings are. Can't wait to hear what he's going to say, how he and Swerve are going to interact. That should make for a very, very fun match Saturday night. Or is it Saturday night? Or is it Sunday night? Sunday night at Revolution. So this ought to be a lot of fun. And I see Fernando in there saying, where was this in WWE? I think, one of the things that always gets us to connect with wrestlers is when wrestlers really tap into their authentic selves. And so it feels like this is very, very natural for Ricochet to lean into these issues and to lean into, being slightly obnoxious and all that type of thing. He gets to lean into that. And so it's unlocked a part of him that we didn't see anywhere else. And he's got an edge, it's an edge that we didn't see in WWE. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for him.
Before we do get out of here, I definitely want to shout out Honey and Courtney. They were at the Queen of the Ring press red carpet last night, so we'll be dropping videos for that. You can definitely check that out. I hope, Ced, you remember this. Ced and I will be at the LA red carpet for Queen of the Ring tomorrow. So definitely tune into all our social media. We'll be going live, etc. We're going to see if Ced wears a suit and bow tie, etc. And, if his knee holds up from all the pounding the streets that he's been doing as of late. But definitely shout out to everybody. There was a note that Naomi was wearing like a neck brace.
Glittered out neck brace.
Yeah. So, shout out to her for, maintaining, because I'm pretty sure that half the red carpet had no idea like what was going on with that. So definitely something to check out. So check out all our social medias, YouTube, all that stuff that will be coming up in the near future. With that being said, I think it is that time. Time to call it a night.
I just hope every time that gets played, it boosts my NIL deal. That's all I hope.
I do want to ask this though. Are we going to give any thoughts on this roadblock card for next week?
Oh, we can.
And the fact that we've got the two women's champions from NXT battling in what they're now calling a unification match.
Whoa.
Are you sure?
Those were the words that were used last night multiple times by Vic Joseph. And when Booker T first said it, I thought he was tripping. Vic Joseph said that it is. I mean, I thought he was just, he got it.
No,
wrong.
I get it. It's just funny.
No, they can't do that. They can't
Nick Joseph
do what they did
called
with the
it a
cruiserweight title.
unification match with the North American title and the NXT championship, and that actually trips me out because the North American championship isn't even a year old. So I don't know if unification. I'm good with title for title, but the words unification were used multiple times last night, and they usually don't get that wrong. So I hope it's just title for title. But unification frightens me.
I'm not seeing that in the reports, but I mean the reports can get it wrong. So for the match card, we have NXT Championship match, Obafemi versus Moose, which is going to be a cooker. TNA Tag Team Champion match, the Hardys versus Fraction. NXT Women's Champion and Women's North American Champion match, Julia versus Stephanie McClure. Street Fight, Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. Jordan Grace versus Roxanne Perez, and then a lot of the WWE LFG legends will be in attendance. So that is the match card for Roadblock.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that somehow the commentators got it wrong, though they usually don't make that kind of error.
Yeah, it's a big bold. That's bold.
There's a difference, and they are very clear in explaining title for title versus unification. And those words matter. So I'm nervous about that. But call me crazy. I feel like this Roadblock card is what I penciled in for Stand and Deliver. So I don't know what they're going to do for Stand and Deliver, because this card right here, this is Stand and Deliver. I don't know what they're going to do.
Any thoughts, Jacob and Zed?
It's a big show. I mean, we've had the Hardys consecutive weeks, and now we're finally getting a legitimate threat to Fraxium. I think Fraxium will come up short, and then you'll get maybe a best of 3 or something like that there. But I definitely think that hopefully a title for title finish this show. And I don't know how we got here so fast with those two. But I will say, just from my experience, it feels like one of them is probably ready to move on. And it feels like the crowd's main roster and NXT has kind of gravitated to Stephanie a lot more. Mm-hmm. So if they pulled that trigger on Stephanie, it's just because she has some staying power and he can move Julia along to do things on main roster. But the Obafemi and Moose, I keep coming back to that just because I keep thinking about what Moose said in the past. And I feel like if he made that jump, it has to be worth his while. And for whatever reason, Oba wasn't supposed to be here this long. So all I'm saying is don't be surprised if Moose wins.
I'm not surprised
at all. The new talent that we have in NXT, like Ricky Saints will be around that block soon enough. So like I keep thinking about that.
Yeah, I firmly believe that. Okay, I didn't want to be this bold, but I think I'm going to be bold because I know they've been
heel professor.
Not heel. Boza, I remember our conversation back in June when the first look of this partnership popped off, and they were in Vegas for the women's title match. And everybody's been talking about there needs to be a title change to solidify this partnership. No, it's got to happen the right way. This is the right venue. Madison Square Garden, the theater, New York City, the biggest market, the longtime home of WWE. This is the place where the title change happens. And I think it's Moose becomes the NXT champion, defeating Obafemi. And so I think then we get the rematch at Stand and Deliver, which certainly makes a lot of sense. But yeah, we're on this space of making a lot of news and making a lot of headlines. Everybody ought to be nervous right now after this past weekend. Everybody ought to be nervous. And I'm telling you, I'm putting it on record, Moose is the new NXT champion next Tuesday.
I agree. And Moose pulled up on him too. So like this is there's a lot of relevance in that. And even the rematch don't even have to be one-on-one. Like Saints can find his way in there just to transition to a new chapter. Like there's a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Fernando saying he's liking the booking idea. Anything to add to that, Jacob?
No. Professor laid it out pretty well. I will add one little bit. I think all them belts changing hands. I think everything is switching. I think this is, again, all bets are off at this point. It's the road to WrestleMania. This is NXT's last major, hey, if this is what we're doing on a Tuesday, albeit it's because we're in the Garden, but if we're doing this 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out from Mania, we got some stakes and we got something planned for you. So let's just shuffle the whole deck. Let's just bust everything up.
Cousin Ron saying, I've been saying for months that a TNA star had to win a title to make the partnership pay off. Yeah, I definitely agree, because it's kind of one of those things, because, when we first saw the partnership happen, you have TNA coming onto the platform and vice versa. It's like, the titles are still within TNA power or NXT power. So if they're going to be doing this partnership for a long time, it makes sense to have some type of title change, and that would be massive. The match would be crazy, and then the payoff would be even more. And then how they either get the title back on Oba or how that story plays out is going to be interesting too. So we'll see.
Should have started with Jordan Grace.
Yeah, but I think in hindsight, I get it.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I get it. I mean, initially, I was with you on that, but and I think the thing people can't forget is Moose is the veteran in this space. Moose is the veteran. Oba is still maybe a year and a half in. And he said something in his press conference last night. It was the first time he sounded a little nervous about this. Another reason why I think Moose walks away as the winner.
There it is. I also want to shout out C4 for keeping me energized throughout the day. Like that reference.
I thought a sponsorship happened. I was like, oh, all right.
We'll see what happens. With that, I think it's time. We'll let Professor, continue to cook before he turns to heel Professor. Where can everybody find you?
It's not a heel Professor.
Oh, it's happening, y'all.
Guys, no.
What day is today? March the 5th?
Oh,
it's happening, y'all. When it happens, just remember, I warned you. He'll pray for you, then beat you down.
You can find me at bonnerfide across all of the social spaces. I don't know if we've talked about this week, but make sure you are checking out All Caribbean Wrestling. I'm very excited about the premiere that we had over the weekend for Saturday Night Vibe on Tempo Networks. Yours truly, along with TK, I can't, wherever she is. I'm trying to point there and it's not there. TK there. You can check us out there on Saturday Night Vibe every Saturday night on All Caribbean Wrestling on Tempo Network, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you don't have access to Tempo Networks, you can always download our mobile app, available for Roku, available for Android and for Apple. And you can watch Saturday Night Vibe right now, the episode that happened this past Saturday, the debut. Check it out. Episode 2 drops this Saturday. So I'm really excited about what this is doing in terms of our footprint in the Caribbean and abroad. So check that out. Also, Ashe Wrestling TV this Thursday. That's tomorrow. I'll be hosting with Big Swole. So you guys will want to check that out. A very, very cool episode. Again, on the YouTube page for Ashe Wrestling. And if you have not heard, Ashe Wrestling is coming to Vegas April 17th. Ashe Vegas is going to be crazy. We have already announced a huge match for the Pan-African World Championship. This feels like a collision of my worlds here as Shug D defends against JTG, who of course is a part of All Caribbean Wrestling. So yeah, it's going to be a massive
Thursday. We're not getting no sleep. Thursday, it's going to be 24 hours.
It's going to be nuts. And it's starting Thursday morning. So you can get your tickets for that now. Of course, all things all Caribbean wrestling adjacent will be happening later that night with a big show called Sin City Burn. This show is going to be for those who like wrestling after dark. That's probably the best way for me to say that. So you can check that out. And
look at Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob was like, "Oh, wow, yeah, Jacob. This is probably gonna be something you'll enjoy." Sin City Burn. Friday, I will be with Southern Honor Wrestling. Massive show there, headlined by Joe Black defending the Southern Honor Championship against the forever MLW champion Alex Kane. So we got a lot of really cool things that are happening this week and beyond. So make sure you are checking them out. Again, follow me at bonnerfide across all of the spaces. And you just never know what's going to happen next. So follow us there.
Yeah. Sounds like you're going to need some C4 on that Thursday, Bonner. Just
all weekend long. Yeah.
All weekend. That Thursday is going to be crazy. And I mean, somebody else that probably might need some C4.
That's about to pound the streets.
This is man.
You never
Can't catch a break. Can't catch a break, brother.
I don't want your follows. I don't want to be found, but I do want your clicks and your eyeballs because there should be an article up. If it's not, blame TK. But the article is about winners and losers from Elimination Chamber this past weekend. Check that article out. Yes, I am writing again. I will try my best to do an article a week. That is my vow. Hold me accountable if I do not. Other than that, you know my socials like it shows in the screen. Cedric the Answer on the gram. Cedric D. Welton is the website for all my journalism exports. Apparently, Massa going to have me out here tomorrow night and on Sunday, cracking the whip on the red carpet and trying to get interviews on Sunday at AEW Revolution. My only hope is that she introduces me to my future ex-wife, Mercedes Monet. But that's all I got.
Future ex-wife.
Okay. Jacob, it was a delight, a pleasure to have you on today. I look forward to seeing you again. I look forward to your possible articles and TV shows. But if not, where can everybody find you?
I mean, they know. I'm still working off the Brock Lesnar contract, so when you want to send that new one over, we can get more content popping. You know, like Mr. Wells waiting for his body butter. I'm waiting on the new paperwork, and then we can get me around here. But nonetheless, you can find me at _JDella over on Twitter. You can always find my writings and musings at anscape.com. I have my monthly buyer's guide coming soon. Might have something for the MLB season in the works. And probably WrestleMania season might have a couple things coming. So, and who knows? Maybe me and Mr. Welton might, bring back the greatest, best ever NXT podcast. Maybe. We'll see.
Sponsored by Mr. Mayor Shine It Up Potion, since we ain't got no body butter over here, Power Drive Passion will be back in stock next week. Yes.
Man.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for tuning. You can follow me on everything at tktrinidad. Make sure you definitely check out WWT Live on our socials. We are going to be doing, a little bit of lives, getting to the red carpet, etc. Also some lives getting to Revolution. There also will be a watch along and a post show for Revolution that Courtney is going to be doing. So we're going to be all cylinders. With that, cousin Ron, that's hilarious. With that being said, make sure you're checking out Women's Wrestling Talk on all social media platforms. Definitely check out www talkpod.com for all the articles, including Ced's wonderful article, and maybe hopefully Jacob's. We'll see how that goes. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao, y'all.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.